Hello friends, this is Christian Wiese. Today I wanted to talk about the theme, we are walking each other home. Let me start with an anecdote which you may consider strange, but spirituality has its strange moments. It was a while back, I was posting notes on social media and suddenly somebody reached out to me and said, "Your heart chakra is opening up. I can see it." And at that time I had no idea what a heart chakra was. So I had a talk with a woman who said that she had some information for me. And it was a very general talk. We pretty much just kind of introduced each other. And then afterwards I went for an errand, and suddenly a big explosion happened. And literally for 5 days, I think it was, I was in a state that was just extremely blissful. And yeah, that was it. And it turned out that phase never really came back to that extent. It also turned out that the person kind of afterwards disappeared. She complained that I was not fast enough in my letting go process, and I think she may have been onto something. I tend to be sometimes a little slow. But that's neither here nor there. What I really want to communicate is sometimes people have that amazing impact, either on the positive side or on the negative side. And I think for the spiritual process, that is really important. It's important for everyone. But I think especially for the spiritual process, that is very important. It is actually an interesting paradox. Do we need solitude or do we need company when we want to advance? And I'd argue we need a little bit of both. At the end of the day, everybody has a very special function in that awakening. Everybody does need a little space, a period of solitude to find that secret sauce that we all have. But I think where our soul family is really important is kind of walking us through that letting go process, that breaking free process. So instead of saying we are walking towards enlightenment, I would always say the light is always here now. It's just sometimes the interferences keep us from experiencing it, and that's where the people we are embedded in, the community we are embedded in, comes in. So a list of all the hindrances, I'm sure you have your own, but just very generally, family. At one point I remember I realized literally for a moment, it was a spiritual experience, that I was my parents. I was reading a book and suddenly I saw the text through both my father's and my mother's eyes, and I couldn't believe it. It was just a weird experience. Same with children. I just have that realization that they are me. And so when it comes to soul family, certainly family is a big one. Work, sometimes colleagues can really annoy us or can really help us. We have to make the decision, what is our calling, what do the finances require. So work is also a very, very important point, both in self-expression, but also in, those little pokes that we get and add or irritate our pain body. I remember when I was working, I had a colleague for 20 years, and initially we didn't get along so well. Then we kind of made peace, and after 20 years, when we both kind of left the company at the same time, I suddenly had once again that moment of, as I was talking to him, of realization that I am him, which just was a with a colleague is a weird experience, but it happened to me. Twin flames, soul partner, the partner we live with, another important element. The way I would put it is we need a few people who can push our button, but nevertheless provide that umbrella of trust. And everybody, I think, needs that. It's very hard to figure things out all by yourself. Otherwise, inner conflicts, I think what is really important to realize is that mostly we are free, but then there's those areas that just keep coming back to us. Maybe we think we're not successful enough, or it is an unfulfilled love life, or whatever it might be. We just keep on coming back to the same thing, and then it's just very important to realize, oh, this is stuck energy. There's really an important aha moment that is waiting for me to just break free from that self-imposed energy link. Spiritual bypassing, I'm always amused that there are perhaps as many teachers and gurus and healers as there are clients. Everybody does a little bit of spiritual bypassing. It's just natural. But the way I found peace is just, I believe in the roundtable approach. I only hang out with people who I consider my peers. Even when I work with people, I was always under the assumption that they're exactly where I am. It's just I might be able to help them with some of those hurdles that we're discussing because I have seen it or some of my friends have seen it. But otherwise, I always work on the assumption that we're all exactly on the same level. That guru-disciple relationship may work for some, but I think it's very dangerous. Dark night of the soul, which is an experience of solitude. Around full moon nights, you suddenly realize there is something stuck energy somewhere, and you have to deal with it. But again, often it centers around themes, and those themes involve people. So another hurdle that we have to tackle. I guess I already commented a little bit on the spiritual talents and the light worker role. We just shouldn't take ourselves too seriously. It's of course nice to help others, but always should be under the assumption that we are not doing anything. We're just, allowing divine energies to flow. It's not about us. And lastly, the Kundalini expansion. I had commented on my opening of the heart chakra, which turned out to be quite a painful experience. So there are all those different energy centers, and for some, not for all, but for some, when they open, it does become a meaningful experience, and often people are involved. So I wanted to end this with a quote from Ram Dass. Breaking Free is my new book. All those hurdles are described in there. So the favorite quote I have from Ram Dass, I start the book with it. We are all going to the same place, and we are all on a path. Sometimes our paths converge, sometimes they separate, and we can hardly see each other, much less hear each other. But on the good days, we are walking on the same path, close together, and we are walking each other home. I'm a strong believer in that, and want to thank all my friends who are watching for being there. You know who you are. I certainly couldn't have come this far without that amazing help that I've gotten from the community, and I'm also happy that from time to time I can be of help. With that message, all the best, and talk to you next time. Bye.